Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us on yet another episode of the podcast. On today's episode, we have a phenomenal guest with us in the studio. I have I- Divine Idokoh, and she's the co-founder of Valley Bees. And we're going to be having a conversation around how smart beekeeping is reviving African agriculture. And so I'd like to just sort of read out Divine's bio so you get to know her a bit. Divine Idokoh is the co-founder of Valley Bee, a forward-thinking agri-tech expert committed to transforming Africa's agriculture through innovation and sustainability. She is driven by a passion for practical solutions. Her work focuses on sustainable farming practices, smart beekeeping, food and nutrition, and empowering farmers to grow more viable, while preserving the planet. At Valley Bee, Divine leads initiatives that combines technology with traditional farm knowledge to support healthier ecosystem, improve food quality, and increase productivity. From protecting pollinators to promoting better choices, Divine is dedicated to developing a future where agriculture is smart, regenerative, and impactful. So, Divine, welcome today. Thank you for joining us on the studio today. I believe we're going to have an interactive conversation today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Fantastic, beautiful. So, my very first question to you is: so, what sort of inspired you to start out the journey of smart beekeeping? Because you could have ventured into any other aspect of agriculture. So, what sort of inspired that journey for you, and how is smart beekeeping sort of different from the traditional method of beekeeping?
Okay. What inspired the idea behind Bali Bee will be there was a period I took a stroll in my environment and I stumbled across this maize farm and I noticed that the yield of the farm, one part of the farm was having good yields, the other part had low yields. And out of curiosity, I entered into the farm because one of the maize cobs were already open. Checking to see what could be the possible reasons why his yields were that low. And I met up with the farmer too there because he thought I lost my way. Normally, I knew people would wonder, "Oh, what are you doing in my farm? Are you trying to steal stuff?" But he thought I lost my way because I looked like a stranger and I looked like I was lost. So I just told him, "No, I was actually coming into the farm to see if I would meet the farmers, just ask questions about his farm, if he's experienced something like this before, what could be the problem." And he mentioned that the rains did come well that year. Everything was good. They did everything well, even though that period was where the weather was changing. The rains came earlier, I can remember that period. But he said that he felt like something was missing at that time. So after that, he started to see yields in crop production for low yields in crop production. And it led me to come across a post about pollination and pollinators, the roles pollinators play in food when it comes to food production. And I came across different pollinators. Apart from bees, we still have different pollinators. But I was more inspired and intrigued by the activities of bees after I discovered that they are responsible for over 75 to 95% of the food that we consume. And apart from pollinating our crops, they also produce one of the most consumed products too, which is honey. Right? There was now also a decline
Yes.
in bees in areas, especially down here in Africa, where we even have little beekeepers, So
True.
I was like, okay, so imagine if we didn't even have bees in the first place, we wouldn't know what we call honey, we didn't know what we call beeswax. If we have extinction, if we all our bees died, honey will not even be in production anymore. So,
True.
and out of all these other pollinators, these are the only pollinators that I know that can produce honey. Butterflies can give you
Mm.
honey, bats can give you honey, other pollinators can't give you honey like they do.
No, they
So
can't.
it became a concern for me, And knowing that there are a lot of things that were affecting these bees apart from climate change, like the practices some farmers farm practices that they carry out on their farm. I was like, okay, what if there was a possibility why that farmers crops were not yielding because of these pollinators, not necessarily the maize itself, because maize depend on weed pollination, but what are the
Mhm.
possibilities that these pollinators are the reason for low yields? And I love technology. So how can we use technology to save these bees and
Mm.
increase our yields and the crop yields? And also thinking how the sand depends on your intuition. And as a beekeeper, if you're a beekeeper, you'd have to, have routine checks on your beehives manually. You drive down there to check, how are my hives doing at this moment? What sets us apart? How smart beekeeping works is you don't have to necessarily be um available on the farm or where your hives are installed every single time for your routine checks. You can just see them from your phone to track how are your hives doing right now. Is there something wrong with it? Do you need to go down there to check, all from your mobile phone? That's what gives the difference from technology and from traditional beekeeping.
Wow. Wow. That's really good. Really, really good. Thank you so much for sharing that. You mentioned that with the technology, you could be at, let's say, at your home, and you're able to just check what's happening with your bees, where they are stationed. So let's talk a
Yeah,
bit about some of the
yeah.
technologies. How are technologies like sensor or GPS, how are they used in monitoring beehives and their behavior?
Okay, so I would use products which we have IoT embedded smart hives. How the sensors work is um they detect how the temperature of the hives are, because bees thrive at optimal temperature of 32 to 35. That's optimal, not too cold, not too hot. So these sensors can detect if the humidity or temperature is too harsh for them to produce
Mm,
or too critical,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
So it sends the sensors, it sends back feedback to let you know that, okay, this is the condition your hive is in. The temperature is too high, you need to cool it down. The temperature is too hot, you need to, adjust the temperature. Apart from the IoT sensors embedded in our smart hives, um we also have the steamer, a little bottle attached to it for water, just little water, where it can be activated to just release steam inside the hives, and then a fan too,
Mm,
which is also embedded with
wow.
the sensors, so that once it senses this, that okay, the steam is moving, we can you can just have a function on your phone that you can select. And if it's to cool down the temperature, there's a release of steam, the fan just circulates the steam round to regulate the temperature for these bees. And the sensors are now powered by solar, so that you don't have to keep recharging it. And most times
Mm,
your hives are outside under the sun, right? So that is how the
yeah.
sensors work. Then for GPS is usually for you to just know these are the locations where your hives are installed. So in case you are not installing all your hives in one location, you can be able to track. So if one hive is missing and you're wanting to find where that hive could be at that moment, GPS helps you find that particular hive.
Wow. That's really good. I never would have thought that, you know, smart practices are being carried out with bees. And it's common to hear that maybe in,
Yeah,
let's say, yeah, like maybe in greenhouses because of like temperature, humidity, water, and things like that. But I never would have thought
yeah.
for bees. Wow, that's really, really good. Nice. Okay, so can you sort of share a bit as to um, how smart beekeeping has sort of contributed to a better cross pollination or crop pollination, and in what way has it sort of increased agricultural productivity?
Okay, so I mentioned earlier that one thing I discovered is bees are responsible for 70 to 95% of the food that we consume. So
Sure.
with smart beekeeping, it means we can produce healthier bees and strong, right? Protect them from
Mm,
harsh climate conditions like the kind of toxic carbon that are released into the atmosphere from industries, the kind of the weather changes too. Yes. So
okay.
like I already explained how our technology works. If smart we have this smart beekeeping now, which means we can be able to control the how strong and build these bees, right? That's how smart beekeeping can work. Just build the colonies, because with weak colonies you have losses.
Mm,
If a colony is weak, there's loss. There's every the how colony works. They move, right? So without a colony, you're at a loss. How it helps produce healthy and productive pollination is bees love places that are um flowery. Let me just put it in that way, where there are flowers, attractive flowers that they can see nectars to pick pollens from. So
mm,
um as more bees are visiting places that are safer for them, where the smart hives will be embedded, means that your areas, right, of your farm produce, you get to see the differences. They move from one nectar to the other, which means they're carrying pollens from one flower to another, as natural
mm,
pollination, something that you don't really need to come and be doing yourself. As silent as they look, once you just have some of these practices to ensure that your bee colonies or these bee colonies are strong and built enough to carry out pollination, like tomatoes and okra, allows
mm,
boost their productivity, allows the farmer too to have pollination faster in time than waiting for other conditions that they want to pollinate their farm. These bees.
that's really good. Really, really good. So, you know, founding your company, I believe that you've also worked with a couple of people, farmers along these lines. What would you say are some of the challenges that rural farmers face in adopting uh, smart beekeeping, and how have you sort of helped, or how have they, have you, from your own experience, seen that they've overcome those challenges?
Okay, so one of the challenges with smart beekeeping and rural farmers is them trying to understand the idea behind technology. Less
Mm,
education on what it is, affordability too. Those are some of the challenges that rural farmers face. Okay, you being that you guys have a technology for us, how is it affordable for us to use? What are the benefits for us? What are we gaining as farmers from your products? Trust.
mm,
uh, Rural farmers do not trust technology, right, if they don't see it work.
yeah.
Especially those that once you come and you say anything tech, they are not even familiar with what it is. Trust will just go up. They will be like, what is that? How does it work? Will it, like, how does it
Uh,
actually benefit me as a farmer? Those are some of the challenges. And how to overcome, or how we overcame some of these challenges, was we reached out to communities, we
mhm,
spoke to the community heads, had trainings with them. We started out locally to explain, okay, apart from the technology now, this is what beekeeping is. Not everybody loves to keep bees or everybody understands how to keep bees. This is the get money from bees. You can get good crop yields from your crops. You can get like how many can come out from these bees. About three products can come out from these bees: beeswax, honey, and your crops will be like really really good, right? So you are at a an advantage if you are keeping these bees. And we showed them local ways first to keep bees before introducing or telling them about the smart ways of keeping bees. So when they adopted, okay, let us go local ways first. Then we spoke about, okay, this is how you can also do it when it comes down to smart beekeeping, just to show them and make them understand how technology works behind traditional ways. Then for other farmers that were more exposed to technology, we just had trainings for them to teach them how to use the smart hives. And
Right?
there was a time that I think an organization did pay like a percentage off for some of the hives. So all we needed to do was go down to these communities. After the trainings, we gifted some people, and those that were
Mhm.
interested in carrying on, they just paid the little amount of money to us and they got their hives. We made it affordable too by also patronizing people in our environment to help us make some of these hives locally. We made
Mm-hmm.
some of the hives locally from plastic drums that were just littered around the area, because those ones are recyclable
Mm-hmm.
materials, right? They're not expensive, so we give it to say, okay, this is how much you can afford it. It's affordable, you take it, right? So we had to be in the shoes of these rural farmers to understand and see from their perspective, to be able to find a way to communicate with them best on how this can benefit them. And after adoption, we saw a lot of good remarks and comments from them. That was how we were able to overcome those challenges.
Wow, that's really good. So I like how you talk about it. Like you guys had to sort of engage and interact with them and then build that trust first. That was like the start point. Engage with them from the standpoint of what they already
Yeah.
know and how to improve it, and then gradually let them know they could also embrace technology. That was really good. Really, really good. So I'd like you to share if you can, sort of share like a success story where smart beekeeping significantly sort of improved the farmers' maybe income or community livelihood from many of the people that you worked with.
Okay, please repeat the question again because I didn't get that.
Okay, so I said if you can, I would like you to share a success story of a farmer that was once accustomed to, let's say, the local or traditional beekeeping
Okay.
practice, and then when they adopted smart uh, beekeeping, they saw some sort of significant improvement in their income or in their community livelihood.
Okay.
Can you share a story of such? Hi, Divine, are you there? Can you hear me? Hi, Divine, can you hear me? Hi, Divine, can you hear me? Not sure. Hello? Hey guys, so just be patient with us. I think she's having a bit of network glitch. Hey. Hello, Divine. Can you hear us? Can you hear me? So I'm not sure what is happening on our end. I can not hear her though, but I think she can hear me. I'm not sure. Hello, Divine. Are you here? Can you hear me?
Am I back? Okay,
So, did
yes,
you
I
hear the
am.
question?
I had to switch the network. Yes, I got the
Okay.
question. I did. I did a success story. A success
Yes.
story. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that we hold trainings institutions, and there's a particular place here in Plateau State, Nigeria, College of Forestry, that we partner with to educate their students there. As the name implies, you can guess what College of Forestry will be doing. So there was a period where we were
Right.
holding one of our sessions, our trainings with the students, and there was this lady that escorted her friend down. Yeah, she escorted her friend down because her friend just mentioned there that some people were coming to teach them about bees, and she said, okay, let me just follow you. After that, we can go home. That was her confession to us. That was simply what she came for. But after talking about bees, showing them how so many things, like how to attract your bees into your hives, how to use these smart hives to keep bees, she was really interested. That after the program, after the whole training, she met us personally and said she would love to go into beekeeping. Is there a way she could start, even if it's just using the other hives that we had, not necessarily the smart hive itself yet? So we started out with her, just carried her out through some training, one-on-one mentoring, give her a hive. And where she came back to tell us and give us testimony that she was even able to, get bees that were already doing well in that hive without the smart hives before we gave her
Wow.
a smart hive, before she got another smart hive. After months during the seasonal period, she reached out to us to say that she was able to produce honey out of these hives that we gave her. And I think I can't remember how many hives at that time we gave her. I think about three hives that we had given her or she got from us. So she came to tell us that she was able to, produce bees, and she was able to sell this honey plus the beeswax, because people began to reach out to her for beeswax. She said she was able to sell that. She sold the honey because she had a homegrown garden behind her house. So she just wanted to
Oh,
integrate to see, okay, these people said that these people say bees pollinate crops, right? And they like where flowers. So I have a garden. Let me see how well this will work. And then, we're just so happy that she came out to tell us about herself that, okay, this was what she got. This was what she was able to make just from the hives that we had given her.
wow.
So now
That's
she still
really
runs
good.
her apiary by herself. She's
That's really good. Really, really, really impressive. Really, really impressive. Fantastic. So, my next question to you is what would you say are like some of the roles that smart beekeeping helps with, even in terms of like climate resilience and sustainable food systems across, Africa or Nigeria?
take question again.
What would you say are the roles that smart beekeeping can
Just
play
repeat the
in terms
question
of
again. I didn't get you.
okay, what are the roles that smart beekeeping
Yeah.
plays in climate resilience and food sustainability? What would you say the roles are across Africa? What would you say the roles are across Nigeria?
Okay. So I like to call bees our frontline secret workforce. So when I talk about food security, I have to talk about the roles of pollinators. So smart beekeeping ensures that these pollinators are active and protected, like I mentioned earlier. So if they are protected, means that pollination will improve, your crop will improve no matter the changes in climate. and I've explained how the technology works too. So if you're able
Yeah.
to protect bees and give them the kind of temperature that they like to survive in within these hives, you can be able to, you are protecting these bees. They are not dying, they are not running away from harsh weather. They are in a safe environment, right? So environment especially that are from away from low carbon exposures. um I say that's how they can help, right, to promote food systems
Okay.
in Africa,
Oh,
basically.
that's really,
Yeah,
really, really,
when we're
really.
protecting them, the protection is important. Yeah, the protection is important, because if you don't protect these bees and then we lose them, we're losing another best product that we have. Not just you're losing your crop yield, you're also losing honey. You can't get honey from any other kind of pollinators.
Hmm. Wow. So when you speak about pollinators, can you sort of highlight the major ones apart from these, like bees? Are they like special? Does bees have like species? I really don't know. That's what I'm
Okay,
asking.
well, we
Do
have,
bee have species? Or they're all the
oh
same?
yeah, yeah, they're, yes, they're, no, they're actually different species of bees, right? They are different species of bees. They give the same function, but not all species of bees produce honey. That's why we call the honey bees. That's why these particular ones are called the honey bees, right? They're called the honey bees because you have the bumblebees, but
Mm-hmm.
the bumblebees does not produce honey, right? There's the other type of bee. It's not even the yellow and black bee that we usually know. This the name always escapes my head. I don't really know, but the color itself is like blue, but it's still bee. There are different species and varieties of bees, but one of the most important ones, and then the ones that we're looking at to save and keep, are the honeybees, because like I mentioned, they don't just give you good crops, they produce your honey. So if you don't have honeybees, you don't have honey, right?
Hmm.
And there are
Wow.
other pollinators too, like the butterflies. Butterflies too are pollinators. I was with a friend last week and we were seeing that we're at a garden, and she mentioned, she said she can't remember the last time she actually saw around, and actually laughed about it. But I was like, truly, I can't remember the last time I did see butterflies, because there was a period where I was seeing butterflies every. I mean, this period where the rains are falling everywhere is green. You see a lot of butterflies everywhere. And she said she can't see
True.
butterflies anymore. After we even spoke, we saw about like maybe three butterflies flying around. And we even got into conversations too, to say honestly, she asked, and she just asked, what could be making these butterflies not even be here, and some other insects, some other pollinator insects that she has not even seen in a while. And she was asking, is it climate change? I was like, yeah, because when you emit all this high carbon into the air, and you're destroying some of these
Yeah.
insects, some of
Harmful
these
gases.
pollinators, some of these pollinators get to see them before they get to them before they get to them. So there are other pollinators out there like the bee, butterflies, bats too are pollinators, because they also do pick pollens from flowers and around. Just to mention a few though, but these are some of the three that I really did have like a deep research on to understand their function in the community.
Wow, that's really good. Um, if not now that I'm having this conversation with you, every single time I think about bees, I think about how bees sting people, right? So I'm sort of personally, yeah, personally,
Yeah,
I have some fears and reservations towards it, and I believe that even our
yeah,
audience
yeah, yeah.
would have that kind of maybe some people would also have that share that sentiment with me. But what would you say around
True,
those areas, around like, oh, that
true.
cautionary measure when dealing with them? Is there a certain way to uh, you know just walk us through how the irregular day practice for you in the beehive, what does it look like? What does that look like? Are there specific kinds of maybe colors you should wear, or you shouldn't spray perfume when you're going there? Like, what's like your typical day life within the hive? What does it look like? Walk us through that.
Okay, so yeah, I know that a lot of people have their reservations. Like I mentioned, not a lot of people understand or want to keep bees because of these things. But the truth is, um, I follow some beekeepers personally too, and I follow some beekeepers personally too, and none of their stories ever come out with I have never been stung by my bees.
So
Right?
you get
I've never been
stung?
stung by my bees, but yeah, they are cautious. Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
not all the time. Like if you don't follow the right precaution methods, right, you get stung. But a beekeeper, there will be a time in your life that you have been stung before. You cannot escape it, right? But yes, there are
Ah.
precautionary methods that you have to take, like the kind of bee suits you. Yeah, like the kind of bee suits you always have to be on your bee suit. Although there are some experts that do not even wear bee suits when they are going to go and check on their bees, but me, I always advise I should go on with your bee suits. It's just to protect you from dividing way into your clothing and finding that right spot to. So bees are not really harmful unless you pose a threat to them. Do not spray perfume when you're going to your hive because bees are attracted to scents. That's why whenever you put on a very lovely perfume or you're passing somewhere very, very beautiful, you can see a bee following you and you'll be wondering, this bee wants to sting me. They're following you because of your scent. So when they're thinking you are a flower, because it's the scent that they're following, they have a very strong sense of smell when it comes to beautiful like scents for them, right? So when you see a bee flying by, sometimes I feel like it's not best to just swap at them or swipe at them because that's where they now see you as a threat. You want to kill them, so they want to sting. So when they follow you, it's just because of the kind of perfume you put. So as a beekeeper, it's advisable that you do not put on those kind of perfume that can add too much to you. You put safe gears or bee suits, your safety boots on, the headgear, make sure that you're properly covered. And there's a method we use when we want to, just take the bees out of the hive to check or to maybe remove the honey. And is smoking. It's called smoking, but not the harmful one that will destroy them. It's actually like a chemical that numbs their sense of smell for a bit. So that just disorients them a little bit, but doesn't harm them. It's not harmful to them. It's just like it disorientates for them to, you know, give way, not sting you, numbs their stinger. They don't sting you. So in that moment, you can be able to do what you want to do before some beings that they can get their sense of smell again and then come, right? So those are some of the methods and some of the ways that we are able to prevent too much sting as beekeepers from the bees.
Oh, wow. So the smoking you refer to, I want to think about it. Is it like a vapor coming out of somewhere, or you have to apply it with like knapsack or something? I've never been to it. I have been to a hive, but it wasn't a functional hive, so I can't really tell. So I'm just saying, for people that are listening that want to be imaginative with this experience, what does that look like, the smoking? Is it like an evaporation of gas to the atmosphere around the hive, or you spray it the way you would use like a knapsack to spray around? How does that work?
Okay, no, not knapsack per se. Well, we actually have this instrument called the smoker. I call it the smoker anyway. So it's the one we have is comes like in a form. It looks like a kettle. That's what it looks like a watering can.
Hmm.
So there's
Uh,
the from the nozzles is covered. So you just nozzle is covered. So the open part that you just put in everything to just making your smoke, and then once it just starts smoking, you can just open out the nozzles and put it
to
directly
start
in the
coming out
holes
of
for the bees to enter. the hives where the smoke now escapes into those hives. That's how it looks like. I think the traditional method people usually use, yes, traditional method used to use dried um grasses, dry grasses. They just burn it a little bit, not too much, and just give them a little smoke to just distract them. But for us, that is how our own smoking system looks like. The instruments or the equipment, looks like a watering can. And like I've explained, there's an open nozzle for the smoke to escape easily once you prepared it.
Fantastic, fantastic. That's really good. In the beginning of this conversation, one of the things I asked you was um, people's perception or misconceptions about it and why they are not embracing it. And so one of the things you had highlighted was, the cost of, having practicing smart beekeeping. So how is it possible? Let me just ask this way: how do you ensure that smart beekeeping remains affordable and maybe accessible to smallholder farmers? Is there a possibility for that to ensure that smart beekeeping is much more affordable and accessible to farmers?
Um, Sorry, I don't think I actually got the question because on my end you were breaking a little bit.
Okay, so the question is, how do you ensure smart beekeeping remains accessible and affordable to smallholder farmers?
How do we ensure the affordability to smallholder farmers?
Smart beekeeping. Okay, let me just
Is
put
that
it
what
on
you
the
said?
screen. Let me just put it on the screen. Can you see my screen?
Okay, yes. Yes, I can. How do I okay, yes. Okay, so there's something we call the um hive hub where I mentioned earlier that there was a period an organization paid like a percentage of. So another thing that we carried out to make that accessible and affordable for some farmers was we did something called the hive hub, where the hives were already paid for, and we installed the hives in this hub. It's just is a particular location. So and we paired people to to the hives. We paired into the hive. Okay, this hive is for you and you. This hive is for you and you. Since not everyone there um could get one because of the amount that was paid for, so we just decided to say, okay, let us try out. Let's try out this thing. Let's just try out how the hive hub can work when it comes down to, okay, is making it accessible for them. So we tried that out by pairing people that agreed to speak with others to function with the. So all what we did was we did a syncing with their phones, right? We just say, okay, three people to a particular hive. It is already some is sorry. There's a sync on your phone. The three of you have access to that particular hive. The three of you
Yeah,
make
your cell phone.
decisions on that hive. Now you have access to it. Now it's because you didn't even have to stress to pay for it in the first place, right? For now, so it's you can have it, right? So we carried out that price debate from the hive hub, and when we got feedback from people that said they liked working with others but they want to get one for themselves, we had to look at the pricing to sell it. We actually ensured that the pricing was not something that was too high for them to afford, not to afford. So when they buy it, they get it for themselves. We made it accessible for them through that hive hub that I mentioned. So it was from the feedback that we got to say, do we continue with the hive hub? Does this idea make it accessible to people that are
Mm.
interested or to the farmers that are interested? So when we saw that the feedbacks were good, at least from the more percentage of people, that the hive hub is actually working, since all of us
Yeah.
can have and work together, those that does the year. So we said, okay, fine, we can be going with the hive hub to make it accessible, at least for these people now. And for the affordability part, the price should not be something that will make them run away to say, ah, you possess smart beekeeper, well, we are not able to afford it.
Mm. Wow. So this is my next question now is a bit gender sensitive. In your experience,
Okay.
just working with people, are women more inclined towards beekeeping than men, or men are more inclined towards beekeeping than women?
Um, so far, I'll say men are more inclined to beekeeping. But recently, I know that, yeah, but recently, I know that um, people that I know personally and those that I follow are women. So far, right?
Mm-hmm.
Statistics show that more men are inclined to beekeeping, but people that I know or have seen from afar are women, because I think somebody was like, if women are into beekeeping, it's because of their love for flowers. So, and then I laughed and I said, not necessarily. I said, not necessarily because of flowers. I mean, you have men that are into beekeeping too, right? But at that point, men were into beekeeping just because they had more, they didn't care whether they could buy these bees or they could be able to stand the whole drama with bees. But like I said, recently now, what I've seen, women are coming into beekeeping now than before.
Mm,
Women are coming into
interesting.
beekeeping more
It's good. It's good to hear
than
that.
before.
So,
And
what?
from then and now, the percentage for of women going to beekeeping has really gone up.
Oh, nice. Nice, nice, nice. That's good. Really good to hear. So, what would be your advice to like a young agricultural entrepreneur, especially with women that are interested in combining technology with farming or even beekeeping? What would you say to that person? Is this something that she should keep endeavoring into for a young woman or young agricultural entrepreneur, especially women?
One thing I would say is, or when I think when it comes to tech, everyone sort of like has their niche, and when you're now combining tech with agriculture, you have your niche. Not every person who is interested in agriculture wants to have a farm, or wants to have a farm. Some want to go into agribusiness, dealing with the whole marketing stuff. So for my advice for any young person that would want to go into entrepreneurship that has to do with technology and agri could be to say, when you start, um the the environment has started giving us a blueprint is something that I always say. Your environment will always give you a blueprint for what to do. There is always one problem to solve. So when you're
Mm.
starting out, find out that problem in agriculture that you can solve. You can venture into something now and then it might not work and you might decide to just give up. Don't give up. Whatever it is that you try out does not mean you should just stop there. You just start. Wherever you have
Mm.
an idea, start with as little as you can around that idea. Just start. When we started out Valley, something that I always say, we didn't start out with some of the equipment that we had, some of the instruments that we had. We started out making um our hives with discarded drums as a way to even reduce pollution in the environment. So we started that idea out as small as we could before it started to improve. Showing it out there, putting yourself out there. Do not be afraid of what people will think or what people will say. As far as your solution is solving a real time problem, right? you're always showing up one way or the other, even when you think that nobody sees you. There are a lot of silent watchers out there that are looking at you. So, and I know that for women too, they would say, you guys we do not have the emotional balance and this and that. True, yeah, we don't have the emotional balance, but then if at every point they said you should stop and you stop, you would never, like, for me, if they at every point that somebody said this your idea would not go anywhere, if I had stopped, I do not think that some of the support that we've gotten so far to this point, we will have gotten it. And
Mm,
for a woman, I would say these days, people like to even see things in the agricultural space driven by a woman. So if you already have an idea for something, just start. You just start putting yourself out there. It might surprise you, but the number of people that will come behind you and say, I'm here to back you up because I believe in you as a person to be able to break out into this space. So do not be afraid to put yourself out there. Do not be afraid to start with what you have. Every time you start something, you can always iterate, you can always get feedback to know how you can work on it. It's not easy, yes, because the journey of an entrepreneur is never easy. There are a lot of times you just want to give up, but um putting yourself out there always, and also have a backup system of people that are driven just like you, that can be able to hold your hand to show you that they are with you in this. You don't have to be alone. People that understand your journey. Oh, there are some people that do not understand at all. So when they are there, they'll just want to bring you down. So that is the advice that I have for young entrepreneurs, especially women. There are a lot of things that we can do as women and break out into this space. It's just for you to position yourself and put yourself out there for people to just find you, for people to recognize you and see you.
beautiful. So this is like my final question to you, which is around the areas of collaborations and partnerships, right? What collaborations or
Yeah.
partnerships
Yes.
has been sort of most instrumental in scaling the work that you do around beekeeping? That's one. Then the other one is looking ahead. What's your vision for the future as regards, smart beekeeping in Nigeria?
Okay, so for partnerships, one of the major partnerships that helped us with our major breakthrough was the funding that we got from the US African Development Foundation.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
We won an award, a grant award from them, which helped us scale a lot. Some of the materials that we were lacking behind to not have, we were able to now get them. We were able to look for people around us to help us make these hives, patronize people around us, um, uh, scale. They've made over 100, and when we started we have over 100 before people started reaching out to us that they needed more, so we scaled up to over 500 hives too. So that was one major um breakthrough and partnership that we had, that funding from the US African Development Foundation. And other partnerships would be our partnerships with the College of Forestry in Plateau State in Nigeria, like I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
uh, us going there for routine or scheduled trainings opened many doors for us, because we started to get calls too from other institutions, like the universities, like the research institutes here, that they wanted us to come and also install these hives for them to also carry out their own research on bees. Some too in the zoo that we have here, wildlife park, yes. So these two partnership, the partnership with the College of Forestry opened a lot of doors to us, to other government institutions. And what was the last question you asked? Sorry.
So looking ahead to the future, what's your vision for smart beekeeping or smart agriculture in
Yeah.
Nigeria? What do you foresee happening?
Well,
Mhm.
looking to the future, I see more farms that are alive by natural pollination, not just with
Mm,
crops, but seeing more um more abandoned lands being regenerated again. I know one thing that I actually missed out to about pollination is pollinators can push us to practice regenerative agriculture. And what I mean by regenerative agriculture is you intentionally planting things to make your soil strong again to for your crops, planting flowers around, planting more trees. I know deforestation is happening a lot, so reforestation, planting things that will make your soil healthy again. That is another role of pollinators, because once you have um when you're able to restore a farmland back to
Yeah.
at least to its say former glory, a dead land back to former glory, you get to see the beauty in how pollinators work, right?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
what I envision for smart agriculture is seeing dead farms being alive again, our lands coming back to life, technology helping farmers to be able to predict, which is already happening now, predict the
Yeah.
kind of things they need to do on their farm and produce more sustainable um, innovations. That is where I see that is where I see smart agriculture. So if bees are thriving, if pollinators are alive, if pollinators are strong and existing, your farm is also thriving. So in Africa's agriculture, honestly, if our pollinators are thriving, we wouldn't have to depend solely on some kind of chemicals that their function is to boost our
Yeah.
our crop products. And because I know that
Wow.
one thing a lot of rural farmers do not know, or some farmers do not know, is that there are some kind of pesticides that you put on your crops. You think you're doing good to your crops, but you're doing more harm to both your crops, your
Mm.
body, and to the pollinators that are supposed to help you naturally.
Wow. Yeah, I think I've heard about that. Dr. Merkel from Poland talked about that. I had a guest. He's like a professor in Poland. He had talked about that. Talked about using microbiome. Yes, for soil fertility. That is
Hmm.
using like how
Yeah.
to use like the organic organism within the soil to sort of regenerate the fertility of the soil without having to like use
Yeah.
fertilizer. Yes, he had said that in the session that we had. Yeah. Oh, nice. Really good. Really, really good. It's been such an insightful and interesting conversation with you today, just learning about smart beekeeping. Prior to this conversation, like I said earlier, I didn't even know that we have gotten advanced to the point where you could sort of monitor your bees with IoTs and trackers, GPS, and things like that. I didn't know. I just felt like, oh, it is still just the old rugged way of doing things. But it's just good to hear and to
Yeah.
know those kinds of things are already happening here. And just seeing how technology is impacting agriculture in this way. So when people hear about agritech, sometimes people think about it just like only softwares, app, and things. But just hearing what you shared today further just buttresses the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, more beautiful ways on how technology is enabling agricultural practices, cultivation, production as well. Really, really good. Really, really good. It's been such an insightful conversation with you today, Divine. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. And I believe that our audience has learned a lot about beekeeping. So, do you guys sort of run like trainings, for anybody that wants to go into the business? Do you guys run like training for people? And if you do, how best can the audience connect to that?
Okay, we do run trainings for people that are interested, since we have connections to um, beekeepers, expert beekeepers, and other extension agents that we work with. we do run training. So if you are interested in having a training, it's just to reach us to us via our email or through our website. So you have our email there. You just or reach out to me personally, and I'll just put you through the process on how we run trainings.
Fantastic, fantastic. Do you mind calling out your website? www.valleybee.com. Is that it?
Yeah, WWE. That's E or WW. Um. Okay. valleybee.com.ng.
Okay, so guys, you heard it, www.valleybee.com.ng, and click on the info button or click on the contact button. You'll be able to get access to connect with Divine and her team and know when best is suitable for you to make an arrangement for the training. So once again, thank you so much, Divine, for sharing with us. And to our audience and our guests that are watching with us, thank you so much for staying with us from the beginning till the end. Please do well to share, like, and subscribe so that we are able to send this message across to as many young African people to learn from these interactions and these conversations. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you once again, Divine. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.